Hey guys, I'm popping on here really randomly. This was not planned ahead of time, which is turning into a bit of a thing for me. But for any of you who can join me, I'm excited to have you. For those of you guys who are watching the replay later, also super excited to have you. Say hi in the chat box. I know that you were here and that I can answer any questions that you have as we go through. I just did a live with a former student of mine from CYLA, and as we were going through it, there were some questions that she had that I figured I should answer here for all of you guys. So let me start by introducing myself for those of you who are new to me. I'm Danielle Massi. I'm a trained holistic psychotherapist, but I like to consider myself a spiritual alchemist because what I do and my zone of genius is helping people unleash spiritual gifts that they have. And the way that I do that is by helping them dive deep, deep, deep into their shadow, pulling out anything that they have in there that's blocking them, and then actually teaching them to use their spiritual gifts in order to help in whatever way they are meant to see fit. We all have a different way that we're meant to show up in the world. Nobody's gifts are exactly the same as anyone else's. And so I don't try and teach anyone to do what I do. I try and help you get to what you're supposed to do. And the way that I do that is through very, very specific channeled guided meditations. And it's something that I learned to do by having a mentor. She's the one who kind of opened me up to the possibility of this and taught me the things that she knew. And then from that point forward, she had taught me how to tap into my own knowing, which is really the goal. You are your medicine. You have all the answers. You know what you have to do. The problem is that there's so much messaging and coding layered on top of us that we can't always see it. And it happens differently for everyone. We all have these moments of just kind of questioning it and wondering what it is that we can do, or do we have abilities, or has anyone shielded me from this? Like, was I that kid who was knowing that I had all of this ability to do stuff and then people told me I couldn't, and so I shut it down and made it quiet? That happens for so many healers and spiritual leaders. And so just getting all the noise out of the way, clearing the clutter so that we can really fully step into who we are and what we're meant to do is my whole MO. And so doing that live that I just did with Morgan, who was one of my CYLA students from my last round, she had a few questions that I think would be really helpful for you guys to hear. So the first one is, what is the meditation work that I do? So meditations are different for everybody, and I think meditating is wonderful just in the most basic sense, to just kind of ground yourself, get yourself back to normal, clear anything that's going on for you. But the meditations that I do are a little bit deeper in that we're not just meditating to calm, we're meditating to uncover. And so when we drop down, what'll happen is I will also be simultaneously channeling guidance from spirit for you. And as I do that, as I channel specific things that you need to do, steps that you need to take in this meditation, things you need to unearth and uncover, we co-create. So I'll suggest that you do something and all of a sudden you'll say something back like, I see it, it looks like this is what I'm supposed to do. Or I'll ask directly, what is the message you're supposed to hear right now? What is the gift that you're being given? Whatever it is that I'm seeing on my end. Because when I channel, I'm seeing what you're seeing, which is weird to think about. I'm right there with you on the journey. I see everything that you're seeing. And so when I let you take the reins, it becomes your story and your journey. And I'm just there kind of helping you by opening the door, pulling back the veil, allowing you to see it for what it is for you in particular, because that is where your power is. And the more you do that and the more confident you become in doing that, the stronger that ability grows. And it just gets stronger and stronger over time. And it's not just us kind of going on random things. It also becomes something where it's very specific, because everybody has a different path they have to walk and things they have to clear out of their energetic field. We're not just going back for the sake of going back. We're going in to do something very intentional. So like for the last handful of meditations I've done, I'll just think back to the ones I did this week with different clients. I did an ancestral healing with someone. I've done 2 ancestral healings this week where we channeled people from their own lineage. So mom, grandma, great-grandma, people from that path who needed healing, or past life work where we drop down into one of your past lives that you've walked before and see it. And we see it so clearly so that we know there's a pattern there that needs to be healed, and then we can heal it in this life. And that's where the therapy work comes into. different meditations I've done have been helping people initiate and get through different phases of their life, because you know that we shift. Our energy shifts every time we grow. And sometimes it can feel scary to grow. Like we're not ready for it. We don't know what it's going to look like. We're kind of nervous about it. And so having this moment of initiation is just kind of like infusing you with a ton of that energy to go, no, actually, this is the right thing that's supposed to be happening right now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how I step up. And it feels much more calm, much more centered, much more grounded. And so it's easier. So that shift doesn't feel scary in the way that maybe it otherwise would if you didn't have that experience. Other ones that I've done just this week have been shamanic journeys where I take you deep within yourself, or journeys inside of your heart center or your womb space to remove trauma, because so much trauma for women sits within our womb space. I mean, every time I drop in there, I'm clearing something out for myself, let alone when I do it for other people. Victoria said, I need to honor and trust more my path and not compare my gifts to the gifts of others and then start devaluing mine. You know, when I first started my spiritual journey, I did that a lot because I was at this point where I didn't really know what my gifts were. And that scared the crap out of me because I felt like there were so many people who just showed up and were like, yeah, I'm a psychic. And like, yeah, I'm a medium. And yeah, I do plant medicine. And I was like, yeah, I'm a therapist. I'm just here. I don't know why I'm here. And that can feel very scary. And if I would have stopped at that moment, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. We all have really strong, really intuitive gifts. I'm not talking little things. I'm talking big things. You have abilities you don't realize you have. But if you're scared of them, if you don't know how to tap into them, if you have years and years of coding that tell you can't access them, or past life journeys that make it feel unsafe, you're not going to touch them. And that's the work that I do in my meditations. We dive into what's called the shadow, which is all the stuff you don't want to see, all the stuff that feels scary. And it's not really scary. If you think about it, the stuff that we're hiding from ourselves is not really that scary, but there's a reason why it's stopping us. Think about stuff you do just in your daily life, right? Like, think about the stuff that you're like, oh, I need to do that, and I'm putting it off. I'm pushing it off because I'm not ready to do it because I don't want to. Like, for me, it's always like changing the way that I eat because my eating pattern is bad. It always has been bad. I've been a chubby kid my whole life. And so that is a big block for me. And so when I actually sit with that and go, why am I actually blocking that thing? It has nothing to do with not wanting to change or being afraid of it. It's because I've been patterned for so long that food is a coping mechanism, that's a safety net. If I take away my safety net, what do I have left? And the answer is everything. I have everything left when I take that away. And we do the same thing with all the spiritual stuff too. If I dive deep into this stuff and find out that I have this gift and this ability, what are people going to think? What are they going to say? How are they going to respond? Am I going to make money doing that? Or is it just going to be a waste of my time? Am I going to be isolated and scared? Or my relationship's going to change? That can feel scary. That's why it's so important to have a guide take you through all those things. That's why it's so important to have someone holding your hand as you do it, because it's not that they know more than you, because they don't. You are the expert of you every time. But to have someone who's there with you on it, keeping you safe, keeping you protected, keeping you grounded, and helping you by just kind of holding your hand as you go through it. It is life-changing. It literally just shapes the way that you go about it in a way that feels so safe. If you are watching this, there is a good chance that in a past life you were a witch and you were maybe burned at the stake or drowned or saw that happen to people that you know or had fear of that. And I'm getting chills everywhere, so at least a handful of you, that is true. And if that's true for you, what that means is you were taught to be afraid, to speak out, to let yourself learn your own gifts, to lean into them, to learn how to use them in a way that could heal people and help people. The good news, though, is that nowadays it's not so weird to do those things, right? You can walk into Urban Outfitters and buy some crystals. It's not weird anymore. Now is the time to do those things. Now is the time. I have chills too, by the way. Now is the time. So if we can do it now and we can all feel connected in it and we can speak out in a way that makes us feel safe and know that we have each other, no one can stop us. And that is when we start to make real change. That is when we start to feel, just personally, without even doing any work with anyone else, that's when we feel really healed and whole. That's when we start to make ourselves feel like we understand ourselves so deeply that life is easy, that things become effortless, that everything flows in such a yummy, juicy way, and that feels so good. There's no better gift that you can give to yourself. And then when you feel that good, when it feels so, so yummy, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to share it. Because you're going to go, I have this thing that can help people. And it's not that you know more than them. It's just that you're a couple steps further ahead on the path. And so you can become the person who holds the hand for them. You can become the person who helps guide them down their path. And as you do that, as you become that person who is a mentor for someone else, you start spreading that love and that energy and that warmth. And how much better would our world be if we were all doing that, you know? Coronavirus spreads so powerfully because every time it touches something else, it kind of is like it sprouts two heads and it goes in every direction, and it just has this ability to replicate and move. What if love was that contagious? What if our healing abilities were that contagious? I think, and this is just me speaking, I think all it takes is for us to actually talk about it. Because when we're quiet, when we keep it to ourselves, it's not getting shared, I'm sort of depriving someone else from their own ability to heal. I'm depriving someone else an opportunity to feel that level of peace and love. I feel like it's my responsibility to offer a choice. Not everyone's going to choose it, and that is okay. I'm not here to judge anyone based on that decision. I'm not here to force them to do it. I'm just offering a choice. This is an opportunity to go all in. This is an opportunity to love yourself so deeply, know yourself so deeply, dive deep into the shadow to create your own light, become radiant. Let that radiance shine so bright that you become like a supernova. And so that's what I wanted to come in here and say today. That was some of the stuff that came up in my live with Morgan, which I will share directly here to this page. You guys should also check her out. She's one of my former students from CYLA. And I also work part-time for Brianna Rose in the Ascension Academy. And she also just graduated from the Ascension Academy. So I've got to spend a lot of time with Morgan, helping her move through her spiritual journey and watching hers unfold. And she is just a force to be reckoned with. So I'm so happy to connect all of you guys with her. Check out her page, see what she does, and she is so full of joy and so full of wonder. So she could also be someone who helps hold your hand and brings you through whatever journey you're going through. All right, guys, if you're watching this in a replay, or if any of you guys watching now have any questions, just post them right here in the chat box. And I love you all so much. Thank you for joining in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.